You know that incredibly frustrating moment when you miss a single workout, or I don't know, maybe you're out on a Saturday night and you just completely blow your nutrition plan.
Oh, yeah. Or you step on the scale in the morning and the number looking back at you feels honestly ridiculous.
Right. And instantly, before you've even fully processed what you're looking at, there is this voice in your head. It's fast and it's incredibly confident.
So confident.
And it says, well, that's it. I'm done. I never stick with anything anyway. Like if you're listening right now, think about the last time you missed a goal.
Yeah, what was the exact sentence that flashed through your mind?
I bet it sounded a lot like that.
It's so immediate when it happens, you know? And it always carries this tone of absolute authority, like a judge handing down a final, unappealable sentence.
Yes, exact.
It doesn't sound like an opinion. It sounds like a cold, hard fact.
It really does sound like the absolute truth. But here is the secret we're exploring today. That voice is lying through its teeth.
Completely making things up.
Right. So today we're diving into some really fascinating research by John Harris. It's an article from Proud Boomer Wellness. And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how our brains hijack our thinking the second things go wrong.
Especially as we get older, yeah.
Exactly. And more importantly, how we can actually outsmart these internal lies.
It's such a crucial mission because when that voice chimes in, our instinct is usually to feel profound guilt.
Oh, heavy guilt. Like, we think it's a character flaw.
Right. We think it's a sign of personal weakness that we can't just brush off a bad weigh-in or, a missed gym session. But the reality is that this isn't a character flaw at all.
Not at all.
It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as cognitive distortions. Simply put, it's a thought distortion.
Which means you don't need to have a therapist on speed dial to deal with this.
No, definitely not.
You don't need a psychology degree to build resilience against your own brain. But to fix the problem, we really need to start by understanding why our brains are so eager to tell us these confident lies the moment we face a setback.
Right, the root cause.
Because apparently, this isn't a glitch in our hardware. It is actually a built-in survival feature.
And that's the part that catches people off guard, I think. If we go back to evolutionary biology, back to prehistoric times, a brain that was hardwired for worst-case scenarios had massive survival value.
Just keeping you alive.
Exactly. Think about our ancestors out on the savannah. The person who assumed that every single rustle in the tall grass was a deadly predator with claws.
They ran away.
They ran. That person went on high alert, flooded their body with adrenaline, and lived to see another day. The optimist who just kept strolling, not so much.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I understand the whole prehistoric savannah concept.
Sure.
But missing a morning run isn't a saber-toothed tiger.
Right.
Eating a piece of birthday cake is not a deadly threat.
Mm-hmm.
So why does my brain react with the exact same level of physiological doom today? It feels entirely disproportionate to the actual event.
What's fascinating here is that the brain doesn't just run this ancient, anxious software in a vacuum. It actively trains and customizes that software using your own life experiences.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, so for adults over 50, you aren't just dealing with raw evolutionary biology anymore. You are dealing with decades of accumulated, highly repetitive self-talk running in the background.
Like all the baggage we pick up over half a century.
Exactly. Think about it. You might have patterns learned from a highly critical parent, or habits ingrained from serving in the military.
Or even just coping mechanisms from high-stress jobs.
Yes, or emotional scars from difficult relationships. It all compounds.
So it's like we have this primitive alarm system, but it's been intricately customized by 50 years of real-life stress and hardship. And it just triggers at the slightest sign of trouble.
Precisely. You end up with a brain that is highly trained, almost like an elite athlete. But what it's trained to do is make you feel terrible about things that, objectively speaking, are just not that bad.
It's trying to protect you from pain by expecting the worst.
Yeah, it thinks it's keeping you safe from disappointment, but the actual result is complete self-sabotage.
Man. So we have this highly customized survival software misfiring. How do we actually stop it?
Right.
Because knowing why my brain does this is interesting, but it doesn't stop me from ruining my entire week after one bad day.
No, it doesn't.
And this research points to a core concept from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, to explain the mechanics of a setback.
It does. It introduces the CBT Triangle. It's a foundational idea that illustrates how our internal world operates as a continuous loop.
Okay, a loop.
Yeah. The 3 points of the triangle are your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And the rule of thumb here is that you cannot change your mood and you cannot change your actions until you change the sentence bouncing around in your head.
Let's make this concrete for anyone listening. Let's say you have a thought. The thought is, I always fail at these diet plans.
Classic one.
Right. That thought instantly triggers a feeling. Usually something incredibly heavy like deep shame or frustration or just intense discouragement.
And that feeling of shame doesn't just sit quietly in your body. It demands action. It drives a behavior.
Right. The behavior usually becomes skipping the gym entirely or walking into the kitchen and eating absolutely everything you can find in the pantry.
We've all been there.
And then here's the trap. That behavior feeds right back into the original thought.
Exactly.
You eat the pantry, which confirms the thought. See, I always fail at this. And the loop just spins faster and faster.
But it becomes a completely self-fulfilling prophecy. And when people try to break this loop, they usually aim for the wrong target entirely.
What do you mean?
They try to fight the feeling directly.
Which seems completely counterproductive. Like,
Yeah.
if you're drowning in a feeling of shame, trying to force yourself to feel motivated,
Good luck with that.
I mean, to me, that's like trying to stop a speeding car by reaching out the window and grabbing the tires.
That's a great image.
It's violent, it doesn't work, and you're just going to get hurt. You have to go under the hood and cut the engine. And in this loop, the engine is the thought.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. John Harris uses a similar idea in the article, comparing fighting an emotion to trying to change a river by arguing with the water.
Huh. Arguing with the water.
Right. You cannot logic yourself out of an emotion while you're drowning in it. The water is already flowing past you.
So what does this all mean? If the thought is the engine of the car, or the source of the river, how do we actually cut it off?
You have to travel upstream. You go to where the water is coming from.
The thought.
Exactly. The thought is what generated the feeling in the first place. That is exactly where these cognitive distortions live, and that is where you actually have the leverage to build a dam and break the loop.
Let's go upstream then. If we pop the hood and look at the engine, what specific sentences are we looking for? Because there are certain distortions that hit us harder than others, right?
Oh, absolutely. There are definitely heavy hitters.
And the first one we need to tackle is all or nothing thinking.
Yeah, all or nothing thinking is the distortion that turns your entire life into a strict binary. It's the voice that insists if you cannot execute something with absolute 100% perfection, then you shouldn't even bother doing it at all.
Right. Health is either a toggle switch that is perfectly on or completely off.
Exactly.
Wait, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
If I set a goal to run a marathon and I skip half my training runs, I am going to fail. Isn't holding myself to a strict, uncompromising standard just having good discipline?
Yeah.
Like, how do I know when it's discipline and when it's a distortion?
That's a really good question. Discipline is about consistency over time.
Mhm.
All or nothing thinking is an erasure of nuance in a single moment.
Erasure of nuance. Okay.
Let's look at your marathon example. Discipline says, I missed a run today. I need to make sure I get back on track tomorrow so my weekly mileage stays up.
Right.
All or nothing thinking says, I missed a run today. My training plan is ruined. I'm never going to finish the race. I might as well cancel my registration.
Oh, wow.
It takes a single imperfection and uses it to invalidate the entire effort.
I see the difference. It's the voice that says, I had one slice of cake at a party. The whole week is a total loss, so I might as well order a large pizza on the way home.
Bingo.
Even though you ate perfectly well for the other 20 meals that week.
Exactly. A week where you exercise 3 times and ate well for 6 out of 7 days is a highly successful, sustainable week.
It's a great week.
But the distortion intercepts that reality and convinces you it's a disaster before you've even finished chewing the cake.
So how do you push back on that?
You push back by actively hunting for the middle ground. When your brain starts using extreme words like always, never, or ruined, you pause and ask, where is the gray area here?
Look for the gray area. Okay. So if all or nothing thinking is ruining the present moment, what happens when our brain takes that perceived failure and projects it into the future?
Oh, that's when things get really dark.
Because suddenly a missed gym session doesn't just ruin my Tuesday. It means I'm going to be bedridden and helpless at 80.
Yeah. And that projection is the second major distortion. Catastrophizing.
Catastrophizing.
If all or nothing is a binary switch, catastrophizing is taking one single bad data point, strapping it to a rocket, and launching it straight off a cliff into the worst possible future.
The ultimate escalation.
Right.
Like you step on the scale, the number is up a pound, and the thought isn't, oh, I retained some water. The thought is, I'm going to end up weaker, heavier, and feeling miserable for the rest of my natural life.
Yeah, try sitting with a bad result for 10 minutes alone in a quiet room without interrupting your thoughts.
I'd rather not.
Right. But it is astonishing how effortlessly the brain will construct an entire tragic multi-decade future built on one single minor data point.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The research makes a profound observation about catastrophizing, specifically for adults who have a bit more life experience.
This is a huge point.
It points out that for people over 50 who have lived through real, objective hardship, like a bad divorce, a health scare, financial ruin, catastrophizing doesn't feel like a distortion at all. It feels like wisdom.
Yes.
It feels like you're just being realistic because you've seen how bad things can get.
And this raises an important question. How do we separate hard-earned life wisdom from a cognitive distortion that is actively sabotaging us?
It's blurry.
Very. When you've been burned by life, anticipating disaster feels like a smart defensive strategy. You think you're protecting yourself from being blindsided again.
You think, I've been around the block, I know exactly how this story ends.
But you don't. What you are actually doing is extrapolating a pattern that does not exist, using evidence that simply does not support it. One bad weigh-in is not evidence of a tragic future.
Okay, so how do we break that illusion of wisdom?
The pushback strategy is grounding yourself in the immediate present. You literally have to ask yourself what is actually true right now.
Right now.
Not 6 months from now. Not the worst-case scenario your brain is writing a script for.
It's like checking the actual temperature outside instead of trusting a doomsday weather forecast.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, right now, my muscles are a little sore and the scale is up a pound. That is the only truth.
Exactly. Just the facts.
Okay, so catastrophizing is incredibly loud and dramatic. But this research also highlights a couple of distortions that are quiet and sneaky.
Very sneaky.
What about when the brain isn't screaming about the future, but just quietly locking in a sense of failure?
That brings us to emotional reasoning.
Okay, what is that?
This one is incredibly tricky because it relies on the fact that our feelings present themselves as indisputable facts.
Oh, I see.
The internal monologue goes like this. I feel like a bad parent right now, therefore I must actually be a bad parent. Or I feel like I'm never going to get healthy, therefore it is a factual certainty that I will never get healthy.
It's so insidious because in the moment, those feelings carry enormous authority.
They feel so real.
When you feel hopeless, it doesn't feel like a temporary chemical state in your body. It feels like an accurate, permanent assessment of reality.
But a feeling is just a data point, and a highly subjective one at that. You can feel like a complete failure while simultaneously doing exactly the right things to succeed.
That's so true.
You can feel entirely hopeless, completely convinced you're stuck, and actually be just 3 weeks away from a major life-changing fitness breakthrough. The feeling simply does not dictate the reality.
So how do we detach from that? Because telling someone, hey, don't trust your feelings, is a pretty tall order.
Yeah, that doesn't work well. The most effective fix here is to leverage our natural capacity for external empathy.
External empathy. Like for others.
Yes. We are often ruthless with ourselves, but incredibly compassionate with our friends.
Always.
You push back by asking, what would I tell a friend who came to me and said they were a total failure for missing a workout?
You wouldn't agree with them? You'd never say, yep, you are a failure?
Never. You would give them grace. You have to learn to step outside yourself and apply that exact same grace to your own internal monologue. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping.
I love that. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping.
Yeah.
Which flows right into the final sneaky saboteur, labeling.
Oh, labeling is huge.
Taking a single event and turning it into your entire identity. Like, I missed a week of workout, so I am a lazy person. I made a bad food choice, so I have no discipline.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to understand why the brain does this. The brain is basically an energy-saving machine.
Yeah.
Processing the complex nuance of a setback.
Like figuring out why you missed the workout.
Right. What stress you were under, how to adjust your schedule, all of that takes a lot of mental glucose and effort. Labeling is a finalized file. It saves energy.
It's efficient.
Too efficient. It collapses all of your complexity, all of your past successes into one single thing that just went wrong.
So it's a lazy shortcut.
Exactly. But the psychological danger is that once you accept a label, once you adopt the identity of I am lazy, your behavior subconsciously starts to conform to that new identity.
Oh, because Why would a lazy person go to the gym?
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
So you don't.
Wow. And it feels like you're just being brutally honest with yourself, like I'm just calling it like it is.
But it's not honest.
No. And there is a brilliant grammatical trick to dismantle this from the article.
Wow.
We have to separate the behavior from the identity. It is the massive difference between a verb and a noun.
Yes, the grammar matters so much here.
It's the difference between saying I tripped on a rock and saying I am a rock tripper.
That distinction is everything. I failed at this. One task is a verb. It's an action that occurred in the past. It has a beginning and an end.
Right.
I am a failure is a noun. It is a permanent state of being. You didn't perform well on this one thing. That doesn't make you a failure. It gives you room to succeed the next time.
Okay, so we've mapped out the terrain. We have all or nothing thinking, catastrophizing, emotional reasoning, and labeling.
The heavy hitters and the sneaky saboteurs.
But reading about cognitive distortions is the easy part. The actual challenge is the mental gymnastics required to catch this fast-talking voice in real time, in the wild.
Yeah, when you're actually tired and stressed.
Exactly. Let's make this incredibly real for the listener. You are standing in the kitchen at 11 p.m., the fridge is open, you had a terrible day, you missed your workout, and you're staring at a box of leftover pizza.
We've all been there.
The voice says, you blew it today, you're lazy, just eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
What does the action plan look like in that exact second?
The research provides a highly tactical 3-step action plan designed to interrupt that CBT loop right there in the kitchen.
Okay, what's step one?
The very first step is simply notice it. You have to recognize the physical sensation of that disproportionate shame or frustration and hit pause.
Hit pause.
Stop and ask yourself, what specific thought is hiding underneath this awful feeling right now?
And taking it a step further, writing it down.
Yes, highly recommended.
If you can physically step away from the fridge, grab a pen, and write the thought down, you strip it of its immediate power. You force yourself to look at it objectively rather than just experiencing it subjectively.
Which leads to step 2, name it. Once you're looking at the thought on paper, put a label on the distortion itself. You are labeling the distortion, not yourself.
Okay, so you say, oh, look, that's all or nothing binary talk, or that's catastrophizing.
Exactly. Naming it creates psychological distance. You are no longer the thought. You are simply the observer of the thought.
You've stepped out of the river and you're standing on the bank.
Beautifully said.
And once you have that distance, step 3 is challenge it.
Yes.
You look at that written thought and ask the hard questions. Is this actually true? Will eating this entire pizza actually fix the bad day I just had?
Spoiler alert, it won't.
Right. What is the tangible evidence that my entire health journey is ruined?
You're essentially putting the thought on trial. And what you'll find almost every single time is that the thought completely falls apart under cross-examination. It doesn't hold up to the evidence.
It's like doing a rep in the gym. Running through notice, name, challenge requires deliberate attention and friction.
It definitely takes effort.
It is not going to feel natural the first time you do it. But just like physical strength training, you don't get stronger by lifting a weight once.
No, you get stronger through deliberate, repeated reps. The voice telling you that you are done, that you can't do hard things, is not stating a fact.
It's just a habit.
It is simply echoing a mental groove that's been worn deep over the years. But mental habits can be actively changed through resistance training. Every time you stand in that kitchen and challenge a distortion, you are doing a mental rep. You are building mental muscle.
So to pull all of this together,
Yeah.
that loud, confident voice that tells you everything is ruined after a single setback isn't a fundamental flaw in who you are.
Not at all.
It's an ancient survival mechanism that kept your ancestors alive, customized by your own life stress and misfiring over modern inconveniences.
Yep, that's it. Exactly.
By understanding the loop of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, you can intervene upstream. You can spot the lies, challenge the evidence, and stop a temporary setback from turning into a full surrender.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Please do.
We've talked extensively about how our brains hold on to negative patterns from past hardships to protect us, treating those worst-case scenarios as wisdom.
Right.
But what might happen if you applied that same deliberate attention in the opposite direction? What if you spend just as much time intentionally cataloging your past recoveries and your resilience?
Oh, wow.
If you documented every time you bounced back from a failure, could you eventually train your brain's ancient survival software to default to "I've recovered from worse before" instead of automatically screaming, "This is the end"?
That is an incredible reframing, training the brain to anticipate resilience instead of disaster.
Exactly. It's totally possible.
Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today. The next time you face a setback and that fast, confident voice chimes in, remember, you do not have to believe everything you think.
Definitely not.
Keep questioning those internal narratives, do your mental reps, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.